Heading into that vice presidential debate, we wanted to do a quick check on where the polls stand and who's at what chances in terms of November and the ultimate result here. So we are turning once again to Logan Phillips of A Race to the White House. Great to see you, sir.
Great to see you, too.
So we got some interesting news last week about this one congressional district in Nebraska that we covered here. And this is significant because it counts for one electoral vote. There was a push to make Nebraska winner take all, like most states are. That push failed. So now they're still going to be allocating electoral college votes by district. And we got a couple of relatively high quality polls in about how that district is leaning. We can put C2 up on the screen here and get a sense. This is the CNN poll. It shows Harris plus 11 in Nebraska's 2nd congressional district. Biden won it by just 6 in 2020. Aaron Blake opines, helps explain why the Trump campaign was so keen to change how Nebraska awards its electoral votes. What do you make? There was another poll that showed, a similarly significant margin for Harris in this congressional district. Logan, what do you make of where things stand there right now and why it matters?
Yeah, I fully buy it. I mean, we had another poll that was plus 9, another one that was plus 15, and these are 3 top pollsters. And so this is really surprising because this was very close in pretty close in 2020. So there was a chance for Donald Trump to win it, but he might have messed up by focusing so hard on changing the rules 50 days before the election. I think he struck a nerve with the voters in NE2 because this is how they have political relevancy. The moment that happens, politicians are just skipping Nebraska from that point on.
Yeah.
And, it was a 5-point race there. And then overnight, Harris's lead expanded to, over 10 points in my polling average. And so we weren't seeing that anywhere else. So I think it's a direct reaction to it. And
interesting.
Can you tell us about NE2? Basically, like why that might be, what types of voters might have been animated by what happened. I believe it's in the Omaha area, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it's along the same lines of when people were concerned in New Hampshire that maybe, although it didn't really come to play, that moving the primary date around in New Hampshire might annoy the voters there.
Yeah.
This is so specific to that place's relevancy that even though it's a lot less political, I think, than New Hampshire, which is probably the most political of any of the states,
yes.
It still is going to matter. And, if it really annoys 5% of voters that might be in play, that's a game changer. And so the reason why this one district matters, it probably doesn't seem like much because, hey, you need 270 to win. There's 538. Why focus so much on one? Well, the way the math has worked out for this decade, because every 10 years they decide, how many electoral votes will be for each state based off population. This time around, if Harris wins the state she's expected to, and she wins Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin with Nebraska second, that gets her exactly to 270.
Wow. That is so crazy, which shows you why they were trying to change this. But also it is understandable. It also exposes the absurdity of the electoral college system that, if you aren't one of those swing areas, politicians literally don't care whether you exist or not. So it makes sense that they wanted to try to hold on to their political relevance here. I wanted to get your sense of this New York Times Siena polling that we have. Let's go ahead and put this up on the screen. They did some polling of Wisconsin and Michigan in particular, and they found a very tight race. Kamala Harris up 49 to 47 in Wisconsin, just 48 to 47 in Michigan. This is another one of those polls that had a large gap in Nebraska. No surprise, Trump leading in the state of Ohio there as well. They polled Ohio in the context of also polling the very competitive Ohio Senate race there. But at least in the context of this poll, this shows some tightening in those quote unquote blue wall states. Is that consistent with what we're seeing across the board?
Ever so slight tightening, I would say, across the board
since
the debate. And that kind of makes sense because you have high points and low points for candidates and tends to adjust a little more to the middle. I just think, not to be repetitive, because I said this last time I was on, New York Times is a great pollster, but they've consistently, with the one exception, the last PA Michigan poll, been missing a few, or not missing, but they've been a few points to the right of other pollsters.
Yeah.
So, they might have it right, but chances are they're going to be a little bit to the right this cycle. So having a small lead in those states when everyone else showed you with a small but slightly better lead, I think is honestly a good sign for Harris.
And what are you seeing in Michigan? Because there's a lot being made in the tightening here that this could have been from the Dearborn area, that this could be hemorrhaging among Arab Americans, Muslim Americans around the Dearborn area in Michigan, that when you have such a slim margin, it could wreck the whole state for you electorally, at least. Is there anything there?
I think it's a valid concern, but I also think this is a bit of a narrative that the Harris campaign and the Slotkin campaign are all about, because the last thing they want is their own voters in Michigan to not take it seriously.
Yeah.
And hey, Slotkin would love if national Democrats invest more in Michigan. So there's nothing wrong for Democrats to have the "I'm concerned" narrative, because it gets their voters more likely to volunteer, more likely to donate. I don't see too much of a tightening in Michigan relative to other states, other than a tiny post-debate slippage. You know, it's a really competitive state that she's more likely to win than the other or than the other swing states. But I don't think things are falling apart there, at least not what I'm seeing in the polling.
Gotcha. Guys, Logan is going to stick with us and reveal the latest from his forecast, the race to the White House forecast. That's going to be available for everyone later in the week, but we're going to post that exclusively for premium subscribers right away, you know, after we record it and post and all that good stuff. If you want to become a premium subscriber, we can put the discount back up on the screen. $15 off through Election Day. Just enter in that code BP2024 so you can avail yourself of that discount. Like
you
I
can
said,
see more of Sagar's face.
and you can see more of Sagar's face.
Looking
which,
like that, mischievous.
You know, is my blessing that I get to enjoy every day in here. Genuinely. In any case, all right. We'll post all of this, like I said, later in the week. Premium subscribers, stick around. Logan, let's go ahead and put your model.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.